Good day, welcome to your fantastic program on 360 Sport. It's been an exciting moment the past 2-3 days where the Super Eagles of Nigeria played the international friendly, an opportunity for club side country national team to really have friendlies and to determine the preparation for the African qualifiers that's going to take place in the next few months. Nigeria was not so fantastic for some as they lost the first game against Algeria. And the second game that took place yesterday was not so fantastic because we have several opinions to that game. We saw Kelechi Iheanacho scoring the first goal in that encounter and missed a penalty, and the game ended 1-1. We spoke with Jonathan Akpobere, ex-international. We know him as one of the prolific strikers Nigeria has produced. He spoke his mind, the combination, the two games, and he told us something interesting and something we should look forward to. Let's hear what Jonathan Akpobere has to say on the games between Algeria and Tunisia.
I was actually looking at the game, the one especially against Algeria. I did not want anybody to identify any player for me. I wanted to see if there was any element of improvement from the last games that I've seen the Super Eagles play. But unfortunately, it was even worse. Maybe because, like I said, they had new players. But even so, if you have new players, you would see an arrangement that would be there, a ground arrangement, where you would see the Super Eagles playing organized football. I did not see that in both games. It is becoming annoying when people start saying the coach is actually rebuilding. You rebuild every time with the senior national team. We all saw the German national team, how they changed almost everybody, in the team, and they were still playing real good football. We could not put 3-4 passes together in midfield. The build-up play from the back was almost zero in both games. So if you look at both games like that and you say, okay, we are just rebuilding, what have the boys been doing in Europe? They've been playing for their teams. When they play for their teams, they play really well. But when they play really well and they come back to the Super Eagles and we cannot get them to do what they do for their club, then there might be a problem. Every game will determine what, or how they approach the next game. But right now, from what I have seen in both games, it is not encouraging. It is not encouraging at all. Maybe when we get to the qualifying, it might be a different ball game. He brings in, players that have the experience. Indeed, he did not play maybe because he was injured and all the rest. But what we saw based on both games, because you are as good as your last game, even the coach also, what we've seen in the last two games, they are not encouraging at all.
That's Jonathan Akpobere, ex-Wolfsburg striker, who was one of the prolific strikers, giving his opinion on, they said, so much as regards to the fact that there was not so much synergy, and so much talk about building process is not expected with the Super Eagles. Yet before we introduce my guests, we'll call on this quick break where we'll introduce the retired Navy Commodore Omaseye Nesama, who is the co-chairman on the restoration of the National Stadium in Lagos. He's going to talk about the next phase of the restoration of the Lagos National Stadium. Don't go away. It's still 360 Sport.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the go-to app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other Paper Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Yeah, so much for us to talk about today. June 9th, 2020, we had the task force committee that was put in place for the restoration of the National Stadium in Lagos. And after that, we spoke, the commencement of the restoration of the National Stadium, we spoke with the co-chairman of the committee, talking about the former AFN technical director. He is the co-chairman on the restoration on the committee of restoring the National Stadium, retired Navy Commodore Omasheye Nesama. And after the illegal demolition, the next phase of the project, that's why we are having the co-chairman, retired Navy Commodore Omasheye, with us today. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, good afternoon. How are you doing?
We are fine, sir. Yes, sir. I told our audience that we are doing the commencement of the first phase of restoring the National Stadium at regards to demolition of illegal structure. That was 2 months ago or less. Now, the first phase is over. We want Nigerians to know what's the next thing on the agenda of the committee.
Okay, I heard you saying that illegal demolition, I think it was a slip of tongue.
Okay.
The demolition was against illegal structures,
okay,
which we actually carried out. We're given an 8 weeks mandate to deal with that. We actually completed that in 6 weeks. We are at the phase of officially submitting the report. The report is ready. Because of what happened last week, I think the ministers, they had a retreat. So the Honorable Minister felt it was good for us to wait till this weekend and formally hand over the report at the exact venue where we carried out the exercise, not in Abuja. So we are waiting till Saturday. That is already fixed for that handover. And that same day, we'll begin, like I predicted, the commencement of the second phase of this project to restore the National Stadium to its past glory. And that second phase will be the handing over of the main bowl pitch to Sir Kensington Adebutu for its adoption, just like what Dangote did to the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja. Same is going to be done by Sir Kensington Adebutu, who is popularly known as Baba Ijebu, is the one that is taking over the adoption of the Lagos Stadium pitch. They are going to formalize the process of handing over to him and then to the contractor who will do the renovation of the pitch. So this is the next phase. Part of the second phase too will be the commencement of some aspects of concessioning that is already going on. Hopefully within the next few weeks, we should be able to know the clear direction on the areas that are going to be concession and those that are going to be lucky or what have you to get that concession in.
That's interesting. Tell us some of the findings during the first phase while the demolition of illegal structure was going on. Some of the findings, some of the things you noticed, because when it started, there's so much quietness, so much talk about the demolition of illegal. But during the process, can you tell us some of your findings that were submitted to the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport?
Okay, without letting much out of the bag, we actually, it was expected to be a very tough job. And I can't tell you that it was that easy, but by the grace of God and the wits and experiences of the committee members, with the backing of the minister, when I say backing here, he gave us free hand to do our job. Pressures came left, right, and center, up, side, and bottom, but we're able to maintain very clear-cut direction, knowing fully well that our processes were not going to be influenced by anybody, except what we decide as a committee to do in the best interest of all and in the best interest of the nation. That is what we did. I won't tell you that we didn't have pressures from different quarters we had, but the ones that we could maneuver around, we were able to do. So at the end of it all, our terms of reference, we achieved all. And in terms of removal of illegal structures, evicting illegal occupants, and demolishing structures and restoring the stadium to its original design, that were completed. The only few structures that we left, and we left them deliberately because we feel that those structures will contribute to the future outlook of the stadium. There are some things that you cannot just demolish for demolishing's sake, and yet you will end up rebuilding the same kind of things. For example, we had to leave a few conveniences, toilet facilities, because when the stadium is reopened, people will still have need for them. Those toilets that are external of the main bowl, still we left. We left the NUJ building, the Swan building, because the journalists will continue to do their job. We left the NOC building because, of course, sports in Nigeria is coordinated by the NOC, and they will continue to remain relevant. And we left the Swan building. The Swan building, I've talked about it. So those are a few things that we feel will continue to remain relevant to the scheme of things in the stadium we left. We also made good recommendation to cater for the people that got affected, especially the sports-related businesses, by recommending the possibility of building a modern business mall that can accommodate the interest of these businesses as well as other interests like catering and, in fact, a food court, modern food court, so that people that come around can actually enjoy those facilities. Instead of littering the whole complex with businesses and catering and what have you, drinking facilities, all of them will be situated in a place. We've identified a proper place for that. That will enable such businesses to continue to function without also hindering the good aesthetics of the facility without hindering or affecting the security and management and cleanliness of the facility. So it is contained to an area that can also have entry and exit without necessarily having to come into the stadium itself. So if the stadium is completely locked down, the businesses can continue to go on. If the businesses are completely locked down, sporting activities in the stadium can continue to go on independent of each other, and they can also complement themselves. So that is the consideration that has been put in place so that it can meet with international standards. It can meet with future, how we want the stadium to look in future. Because we could be holding a very important sporting event that will not allow everybody and anybody to come into the facility except you are accredited or you have the ticket to do so. But the structure, the way it was before, it would have been difficult for you to be holding a match, for example, in the main bowl, and yet you want to control the spectators that will come in. Before the match starts, people are already in the stadium fully doing businesses and so many other things that are not accredited for that purpose. And that will bring about security issues. And with such a structure, there's nobody that will come and organize major sporting event in that kind of, especially international sporting event, in that kind of facility. So we have taken care of that already in this new dispensation, and that recommendation is also in our report. There are many, many other things that the report contains. For example, thinking about having a green area, a park, where people can actually come and recreate, just have a nice scenery, just sit out with the family or with friends and enjoy the beauty of the stadium. We can also, we also recommended a Hall of Fame to be developed in that area. So we are going to start attracting tourism, both locally and internationally. People can actually travel into Lagos and go to the stadium for the purpose of tourism, sports tourism, and what have you. So when all these things are on, then you can see a stadium that will be useful all year round and can continue to generate revenue that will take care of itself, will help the management and maintenance of the facility for all times.
Okay. Finally, the last question. As a stakeholder, do you think the renovation of the National Stadium in Abuja, the MKO National Stadium and the Lagos, has to do with the yet fully resumption of sport in the country? Because there has been a lot of glamour for sport should be resumed. Do you think because of what's going on in Lagos and Abuja, that is why we've not had the resumption of contact sport, like football and other sport that has to do with contact, with the contact?
No. There is the sports ministry is not working alone, as far as I know. The minister is as eager as every other person to get sports, especially contact sports, back. But there are procedures. There are the NCDC is fully in charge of that, and they are engaging. The moment the clearance is given for contact sports to begin, I'm sure the minister would open up the place for contact to begin. But you see, the two stadia you mentioned are just two out of the many we have. That's many true. Sporting stadia we have in the country. So even if the two are encumbered, it doesn't prevent contact sports to take place in many other stadium we have all over the country. So that shouldn't have been a reason for contact sports not to be permitted at this time. It's the NCDC that has the authority, and once they give that approval, it will be done.
Okay. Yet, I want to say a big thank you for being part of today's program. We thank you for your clarifications, for making sure that Nigerians know what to expect in the next phase of restoration of the National Stadium in Lagos.
It's always a pleasure, Mudashiru, to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
I thank you for all the support you give to us also to ensure that that enabled us to succeed in our venture.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. That's all we could take on today's program, TV360 Sport. It's an interesting moment on today's program. Same time next week, like I do say at the end of every program, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.